back to my channel. Today we're doing a really fun video that was requested, and that is to react to you guys' favorite and least favorite tropes of all time. I'm really excited. I don't know how long this video is going to be because it's just sort of like reacting to tropes. I don't think it'll be as long as the other like interactive videos where I like answer things or whatever, but it's still gonna be really fun, and I'm excited to see if there are any patterns of like tropes that everybody loves, tropes that everybody hates. I'm also excited to see how I kind of feel about these tropes, like, you know, if I agree with the love or the hate. I wonder if any of these tropes are in my book that I wrote, and if they are, I hope that you didn't say that you hated them. Tropes aren't something that I really think about that often. I don't feel like I read books based off of tropes. I just kind of read books based off of people's recommendations, like somebody saying this is a really good book, then I'm like, okay, I'll read it. Sometimes I don't even read the back, I just start reading it. I don't really think about tropes a lot. Also, when I'm writing, I don't purposefully put tropes into my book. I just write whatever makes the most sense, like whatever would happen in a particular scene, and then sometimes it ends up being sort of tropey or cliche, like just because it worked out like that. But I never really sit down and like, I'm gonna write a fake dating book. Like, that's not really how I like to write. But tropes are also very interesting because I feel like the publishing industry has been really like tropified, like everything is sold based on tropes, and I think that can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because it makes your book marketable, and like, you know, it helps people find it, and if a bunch of people like a certain trope, then they can like, you know, find your book that they will probably like because it's sort of like a scenario that they like. Like, there are some tropes that I like, and I do like, if I hear a book has a trope that I like, I'm like, oh, cool. But I'll also hear that a book has tropes that I don't like, and I'm like, let's see. I don't feel like a trope maybe means anything. Also, like, I've read books that are like supposed to be enemies to lovers, but they're like contemporary romances, and it's like they're not enemies to lovers. That's just objectively not what that is. So people will be complaining, they're like, this isn't enemies to lovers, and I'm like, okay, but it was still a good book. Like, I feel like tropes are just like a marketing thing. Like, I don't really think about them. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm just like, it's just sort of whatever. Like, a lot of books are also marketed like as a certain plot, and then it's just like the setup, and then the rest of the book is like aftermath of whatever they establish it as. Like, if a book is marketed as fake dating, which is one of my favorite tropes, but like they fake date for like the first like 10 chapters and then it becomes real, and then there's other obstacles, I feel like I could argue that that's not a fake dating book. Like, but if it's still a good book, then I still like it. Like, I just feel like tropes are like a marketing thing, like used to sort of categorize books. I don't really like care. Like, if there's not really a trope out there. There's not really a trope out there that I like despise to the point where like I won't read the book. Ugh, I'm not gonna read this book because this one trope is in it. Like, I just don't really think like that. I don't know. So this video should be interesting because I feel like I don't really have strong opinions on tropes, but I have strong opinions about everything, so I'm sure some opinions will be formed. So let's get into it. These are all anonymous. They've been submitted through a Google form, and they're in like no particular order. Also, some people were submitting a lot of the same tropes, and so I didn't include some people's submissions because because a couple people were saying the same thing. So I just didn't want to read the same thing over and over. I'm so sorry if I didn't include yours, but I did read them all. I just didn't screenshot them all. But I screenshotted them last night, so I don't really remember exactly what was said, because people would say something and give reasoning. I remember the vibe, but I don't remember what was said, so this is still essentially a blind reaction because I have a bad memory. Anyways, let's get started. Least favorite, enemies to lovers. Hot take, we're starting off spicy. I don't know, all this I hate you, but I'm actually obsessed with you, even though we're from opposite kingdoms, isn't my thing. Love academic rivals to lovers, though. Yeah. Thoughts. I don't really have any thoughts because I don't read a lot of fantasy, which is mainly where enemies to lovers is. Like I said earlier, sometimes like a contemporary romance book will try to say that it's enemies to lovers, but that literally doesn't make any sense, because how are they enemies? In the real world, it doesn't make any sense. It's typically just like dislike to lovers or rivals to lovers. So, but they're just kind of, but again, they're marketing with a popular trope, which I feel like is not a crime. It just is like, I feel like I'm aware that when I pick up a romance novel and it says enemies to lovers, it's not gonna be enemies to lovers, but I just kind of accept that. I'm like, they were just trying to push it out there, you know? So I don't read a lot of enemies to lovers, and to be honest, as long as the book has tension and banter and makes me giggle, I'm gonna get some enjoyment out of it. I don't really read a book and be like, that was a bad enemies to lovers. Like, I just don't, I'm just like, oh, that was kind of weird, but I liked the book. Like, I don't think like about tropes that way, but again, I also don't read a lot of tropes. Like, I don't sit there and like look for enemies to lovers books and read all of them and then, you know, to develop a scale of like what's a good and what's a bad enemies to lovers. So I don't know. I do think enemies to lovers is very overdone and it's very stereotypical at this point, and it's all kind of the same. But like I said, if it's got tension and it's got banter and I am giggling, kicking my feet, then I don't really care. And if I'm reading a bunch of books back to back and I'm like, these are all the same, I kind of blame myself. Because, like, if I'm reading a bunch of, like, young adult romantices, they're obviously all gonna be enemies to lovers, and the MMC is gonna be, like, dark and tall and tattooed. Like, obviously. Obviously. That's my own fault for, like, putting them all back to back. So, I don't know. Enemies to lovers is sort of one that I can give or take. I don't really care, but I do enjoy a dislike to lovers, or, like, an annoyance when they first meet, like two people being like rubbed the wrong way by each other, almost because maybe they are too similar, or like they're like sort of seeing right through each other, and then they're like, how dare you, I don't like that, and then ultimately it turns into, well, you know, they see me because they like me and I get a thrill being around them because I like them. Like, that's fine. I feel like when it's sort of just like apprehension to lovers, I like that just because it creates some tension, and I don't really like insta love. I feel like I prefer a sort of like, you annoyed me when we first met. I like that. But enemies, I could give or take. I also think it's overdone and not done well a lot of the time. And not to be a broken record, but as long as I'm giggling and the banter is good, then I don't really care if it's bad, to be honest. Like, I can like accept that it's bad, but sometimes I like it. Sometimes I like a little trashy romantasy. I can't help it. Okay, and then their favorite trope is, I don't know if it's a trope, but character A goes through something / gets separated from the others, thinking they'll be alone forever and die. Whoa. But character B has been there for them since the beginning, waiting or looking for them. I feel like that's very specific. I don't know if that's a trope either, and I have never read a book where that happens, but it sounds cute. Next. Fave. Enemies to lovers. See, enemies to lovers is controversial. People can go either way, I feel like. Least fave? Accidental pregnancy. Or, I don't know, maybe incest or something. Not the incest trope. Can you imagine? Do you guys know those like posts on Instagram where they have the book cover and then they have little arrows and it points to like multiple tropes or like things in the book? Sometimes tropes, sometimes micro tropes and stuff. And it'll like point to them, saying that they're all in the book. Can you imagine if one of those was like incest? I'm sure there are books out there that are incestual. Probably. I don't really care to find out. Unless they're talking about like step siblings, which I think someone else submitted something about step siblings, so I'm gonna wait to give my opinion on step siblings. But yeah, why is incest so normalized? It's very strange. Next up, I like to write found family, especially the little banter stuff. It's just so fun and I laugh out loud every time I do it. I also love reading found family, especially car trips. Also love a good hate to love trope, the angst, the misunderstandings, the tension. Chef's kiss. Found family. Oh, chef's kiss. Although, can I say a hot take? I think that sometimes books that say they are found family aren't found family at all. Like, they're just a group of friends. Found family sort of insinuates that they don't have good families. These characters don't have good families, so they have to make their own family. That's literally the definition. And sometimes people will be like, oh, this book has such good found family, and I open it up and it's just like a bunch of friends, and I'm like, no, like found family is like you all came from horrible backgrounds and like you would die for each other, and it's like you are like you are like connected. Like, I don't know, I feel like the term found family is also kind of overused. Like right now I have a couple people beta reading my book and they've been saying that my friend group in the book is very found family, but I don't feel like they're found family because they're childhood best friends and they all have families. And it's a contemporary romance. Can you have found family in a contemporary romance? Just like the question of, can you have enemies to lovers in a contemporary romance? I say no to that one. Found family is sort of like up in the air. I also do think that it's kind of weird when they call a friend group a found family, but the found family all dates each other. I do think like if you have a found family and like two of them date or something, like that's fine. But like sometimes it's just like a bunch of, it's a friend group made out of couples and it's like found family and it's like no. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. But at the end of the day, I love a friend group. I don't care if it's found family. I love a friend group. And I love like them all interacting, just like this person said, like little banter stuff. Obsessed with it. I love like a friend group, a big friend group with very fun dynamics. I just am like, the term found family, I don't know if it's a little overused. I appreciate my beta readers saying that it's found family because that's a compliment, obviously. You can tell that the characters really care about each other. And there's a little bit of like a found family aspect between some of them, but that's kind of lore that nobody knows about except for me. Because I haven't said it yet. I don't know. Please let me know what you think about that. Like, what do you think qualifies as a found family? But I also understand that found family, just like enemies to lovers, is sort of more like a marketing thing. Like, if you pick up a enemies to lovers, you're gonna get some tension and angst and banter and like frustration and like anger. You're maybe not gonna get like a classic enemies to lovers. If you pick up a found family, you might get like a friend group instead of like they actually like found a family outside of blood. Like, it's just sort of like vibes more like, but yeah, I don't know. And then they also said that they love a good hate to love trope, which I feel like that's a really good way to say like enemies to lovers, but like a little toned down. I already kind of said how I feel about that. Like, I also love reluctant allies. Yes! Like, when they like are kind of annoyed at each other, but they have to work together for the greater cause, and then they learn to really care about each other. Yes! That's in my book a little bit. So I do love a little bit of hate, a little bit of anger, a little bit of annoyance. Okay, now, you're gonna hate me for this, but I hate reading character deaths, especially when it's the main character. It's just too sad. I also hate multi-timeline POVs. They make my brain hurt, and I always end up liking one time more than the other. Love your vids, by the way. Love you, and I could never hate you because I also hate reading character deaths, and I also don't like dual timelines. Now, don't hate me, but I do enjoy writing a character death. Now, you might be thinking, Kitty, is someone gonna freaking die in your like YA contemporary beach summer book? No one dies in June Gloom, I swear. But I write like other genres and stuff, and like we'll think of just a random scene, you know, just like every other writer, even if that's not my preferred or typical genre. So I have written a character death before in my life, and I do love writing a character death. Like, it is the thrill of my life. I also love writing angsty scenes, which there are lots of angsty scenes in Gin Gloom, and there will always be a bunch of angst in my books. I just love angst. I love writing it. I feel like it's super fun to like tap into that emotion. Does that make sense? Like, it's so fun to tap into like angst and despair and like, I don't know. But when it comes to reading a character death, no. I don't like it. I don't like it. Also, I haven't read a lot of character deaths that have been done well. Usually I walk away and I'm like, I wish it had been more angsty or whatever. Like, I feel like sometimes it's brushed over or sometimes it's way too deep. Like, they'll kill a side character and it's like, how will I go on? It's like, girl, they had like 3 lines. I'm not gonna miss them. When it comes to a main character death, I hate it because you got so attached to them and you're like, what the freak? They're dead? And you kind of expect them to never die, so you're like very thrown off. But then that kind of makes me like it because it's so unexpected. I love when I'm reading a book and it's in their POV and they die when we're in their head. It's so like, did not see that coming. When I say I love it, I mean I'm fully weeping and I hate it, but I'm saying I love it as like a concept because it's so different. Usually it's just like random side characters dying and I'm like, I don't care. I usually don't care about a character death. I don't know if that's toxic of me, but like, so I feel like almost they have to be killing a main character for me to care. So maybe I like it. This next person left a bunch of tropes that they love. So let's go through and I'll say what I feel. Childhood friends to lovers. That's one of my favorites. It's just so cutesy and they know each other so well and they care about each other. But sometimes I feel like it's not done well all the time because you have to have something that happens to make them think of each other differently, and then you have to slowly build it, and there has to be some tension and angst and fear in there to ruin friendships, to ruin what's currently going, whatever. So you have to like do it well. It can't just be like all of a sudden like, oh, they're hot now, and then they start like hooking up every chapter. It's like, no. I like an angsty, slow burn childhood friends to lovers. I have said on the internet that my favorite trope is that it's a long one and it's very specific. Hear me out. Childhood friends to lovers / situationship vibes, like they start to have a crush on each other in like middle school, high school. Then they either have a big fight or one of them goes to college or whatever, moves away, whatever. They don't speak for years. So kind of like friends to crush to enemies. Like, I love when something bad happens and they like hate each other and they're not speaking and it's just like enemies, or maybe like angst or whatever, and then they come back into each other's lives. Oh yeah. So childhood friends to crushes to enemies to friends to lovers. But anyways, I don't know. It's very specific, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I also love when a book spans like 30, 40, 50 years and these people won't get together. I just love it. I love a will they, won't they. But I just love being annoyed. Like, I'm like, ugh, talk to each other. But then they talk to each other and I'm like, no, stop talking to each other. Like, I like the miscommunication in there. I don't love a miscommunication trope or like a third act breakup because of miscommunication. No. But when it's a book that's sort of like based on 2 people not communicating, then I get down with it, you know, because it's like supposed to be happening. They're supposed to not be talking. Anyway, sorry about that rant. That's my favorite trope. Think normal people energy. That is my favorite. Friends to lovers. Yes. I mean, childhood friends to lovers, yeah. Kind of the same thing, but with childhood, it's like they just have more history. I would say childhood friends to lovers is better than friends to lovers just because of the history and the drama and the angst. Friends to lovers is fine. I like it when they've been friends for a really long time. I don't really like when it's like they become friends at the start of the novel and then by the end of it they are lovers. I like kind of going into it and they're already friends, so there's some history. I feel like there has to be history for it to be a problem, because if it's just 2 people who meet and become friends and then develop feelings and start dating, then that's just called real life. And we're not here for realism, we're here for a crazy dramatic love story. So I feel like there has to be some history, but yeah, friends to lovers, it kind of a similar vibe. Fake dating, and they said LJ and PK type romance. Yes! That is one of the best romance. I haven't read the books. Can I say that? I feel like I'm a little too old for them now. I think I'd probably still like them. That is one of my favorite romance movies of all time. I think it's done so well in such an addicting way, but it's so cliche. But you don't cringe once, and it just is such a vibe. Ugh, that is one of the best. Enemies to lovers. Okay, we've been here. Soulmates. Okay, I don't really know. Is that a trope? Probably. I feel like they just kind of insinuate that in every romance novel they're soulmates. They kind of insinuate that they never break up, you know? But I like to, and this is toxic of me, but when I finish a romance novel, I like to put it down and be like, how long do I think they lasted? And I like ask myself how long I think those two people stayed together. It's rare that I'm saying that they're soulmates, because a lot of the time I'm like, that they weren't. They weren't. Forbidden love. Oh yeah. I love forbidden love because it can be done in so many different situations. It can be like a fantasy thing where it's like a Romeo and Juliet. They're literally not allowed to be together. And I love the angst of that because it's like they love each other so much and it's like pining. And like, ooh, now that you bring it up, it's so good. But like their outside forces don't want them to be together, which I do often, which I do enjoy. It also, I feel like, can be done in a contemporary setting. Maybe it's like friend group, two of them have a crush on each other, but they don't want to ruin the friend group, so it's still like that. Obviously it's more intense in a fantasy, duh, because the stakes are higher, but I feel like that's a trope that can be done in both, as long as it's like actually legitimate reasons that they can't be together, which I feel like sometimes it's not. Just like enemies to lovers, it's often not a good reason for them to hate each other, but if it's done well, I feel like that's a good trope that can kind of float between genres. Love triangle. Love and hate this trope. Love triangle. I think I have a confession. I think I might like it. I hadn't read a lot of love triangles, but I've read about 2 or 3, which isn't a lot, but like I feel like it's a good number to be like, oh, do I like it or not? Also, I did just realize when I was getting beta reader feedback, sorry for talking about this, it's just the only thing on my mind. I can't stop thinking about that people are reading my book right now. It's like crazy. I have like a couple love triangles going in that book. Not really. I'm scared to say that because I feel like most people don't like love triangles, and I don't want to put them off with the book, because I've had beta readers, because some of my beta readers say like, oh my god, it's gonna be a love triangle, and then like it's not actually a love triangle, it's just like they only like one of them. Usually it's like unrequited love here and then like actually a good match, but there's technically a third person involved, just because I like the drama of it, you know? But yeah, sometimes I enjoy a love triangle because I love drama. I hate to say that, but it's true. Grumpy Sunshine, love. I love that one because it's just very, very simple. It's just a dynamic. You can do anything plot-wise. And then we have brother's best friend / best friend's lover? Best friend's lover? Please tell me that you meant best friend's brother. I'm scared. I need to move on. Oh, these are all separate. Age gap. I agree with that. I feel like when you get into like adult romance and it's like a 25-year-old and a 40-year-old, it's kind of better. Because it's like those are both very much adults. But when it's like child, because for some reason in every age gap the girl has to be 17. Like you couldn't just bump her up to 18. Like I don't understand. Why does she have to be a minor? It's kind of weird. I don't like that. I think I agree. Childlike girl and borderline abusive boy. What books are you reading? I've never read that, but I don't think I'd like that either. I don't like childlike girl, like when the girl acts like a little kid. Genius girl and bad boy low-key gets annoying sometimes. I think I agree, although I will say I feel like that trope is dying down. I feel like that was a very like Wattpad thing, a very like 2013 to like 2017 sort of vibe, and I feel like that is sort of calming down. So sometimes I like it nowadays just because I don't see it as much. Like back in the day, it was very annoying. Now I feel like it's okay just because it's not as oversaturated. But I definitely wouldn't say that's a favorite. Fave. Found family. We've already spoke on that. Friends to lovers. We've already spoke on that. And not sure if it counts as a trope, but my favorite books to read and write are the ones that center around friendships. Oh yeah. I love writing about friendships, especially female friendships. I think they are so vital to girls. Like I don't know if like men or like society, I don't really know who I'm speaking about, but like when you're in high school, having like good female friendships, and even obviously after high school, but I'm just talking about the kind of books that I read and write. They're typically high school or college because I'm still reading YA. Having female friendships during that phase of your life is like so vital, and having good female friendships is so vital, and I wouldn't like be who I am if I didn't have like female friendships growing up and having girls talk about girl things with. Like it's just so important. And I also love books that are like coming of age, but coming of age with your friends. Like I know that like it's very typical to outgrow your friends, but I love books where it shows growing with your friends and friendships taking different shapes and forms and you know, sort of morphing through the different phases of life. I feel like those are really, really fun to write and read, especially because I feel like books where the friends grow together, I feel like that's kind of rare to read. I don't know. But yeah, usually when I read books, I love the friendships. Like, even when I'm reading a romance novel, I really focus on, even when I'm like reading a romance novel, I really like to focus on the friendships, because normally, like, you know, the FMC will have like a girl best friend, and I love chapters with them together, and like I love to sort of focus on that. And I think a lot of time authors don't put as much effort or like time or detail into those friendships because they're focusing on the romance. But I feel like friendships, I don't know, I feel like friendships ties so much into romantic relationships, especially in YA. Like getting into, like, your friend getting into a relationship and suddenly they're never available to hang out, and like the dynamics there. I just feel like there's so much there that could be played with that is not played with because the books are focusing solely on romantic. But when books have subplots of friendship, I just feel like they're so much more deeper, and it makes the romance better. I don't know if that makes sense, but the characters going through personal journeys with their friends outside of the relationship just makes the character so much more deep and real and human, and then makes the relationship so much better and so much more rewarding to read about. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, yeah, I just feel like friendships should be focused on more in books. I think a lot of the time authors maybe think that it's boring or people don't want to read about friends, but I feel like people want to read about friends more than they want to read about romance. Everybody can relate to friendship problems. Not everybody can relate to romance, which is probably why they, and I'm talking about myself here as well, are reading romance novels, because the romance is sort of like empty tumbleweeds rolling across the romance part of our lives, so we read romance novels. But when you have a sort of friendship thing going on, that just makes it even more relatable and able to connect to more people, I feel like. But yeah, I definitely agree. I cannot write a book without like really strong friendships in it. Friendships are just so vital. They're just vital to being a person, and so therefore they are vital to characters, I feel like. Okay, I don't know what that was. It was some sort of rant or preaching. I don't really know. Let's keep going. Favorite? Found family, of course. Of course. In fact, it's one of my quirks. I can't write a story without adding found family into it. I just said that. I just said I can't write without adding friendships. Yes. Least favorite has to be infidelity. Like, why is that even a thing? And accidental pregnancy is kind of icky. I have never read a book with the infidelity trope, thank the Lord above, unless it's like, you know, one character's in a toxic relationship and then that's just a reason for her to leave the boyfriend and then end up with someone else. Then I feel like it's fine, it's just more like a plot device. But that would make me so mad if someone cheated. Oh. But isn't that like in Magnolia Parks? And I want to read Magnolia Parks. And Magnolia Parks, why am I saying it so much? Those books are like supposed to be toxic. So I feel like when a book is supposed to be toxic, I accept toxicity a little bit. But when a book is supposed to be cute and then there's toxic going on, I'm like, I was lied to. Because I can enjoy some toxicity if you tell me that's what I'm going into. But if I'm expecting cutesy, wholesome time and they start cheating on each other, I'm gonna be scared. There's also that trope where like one of the characters, like they have a big fight where they break up, or you know, they're not together and they have a big fight and they stop talking, and then one of them like shows up to the party with another girl. You know what I mean? I kind of love that, to be honest, because I love the drama. But then they like say like, oh, that's my sister, or like that's my cousin or something, and then it's like, oh. Like, I like when it was just the idea of it was for the drama. I don't like when they actually start cheating. And then you also said accidental pregnancy, which again, I just feel like that's such a Wattpad thing. Does that happen in like romance novels, like published romance novels? Because I have also never seen that. But I am about to start out on a limb, like literally after filming this, I'm gonna start out on a limb, and that is accidental pregnancy, but I think it's like, but that's set up from the beginning that it's her journey with her pregnancy and them coming together because of the pregnancy. I feel like that's fine if it's like a plot thing. But when like the third act drama is that she's pregnant, it's like, girl, no. I also don't like when we do an epilogue and she's pregnant. Women are not only happy when they're pregnant and when they're a mother, they can also just be happy in general with themselves and with their life and with their career and their relationship. You don't have to make them pregnant. Don't even talk to me about it. I love arranged marriage tropes in historical/fantasy, especially when it's a slow burn romance. Okay, I agree with you. Arranged marriage in contemporary is weird because what the freak is going on? It just feels a little bit excessive. But in wait, isn't that just like the marriage trope? Is that arranged marriage? I don't know. But you know what I'm saying. When they have to it's like, why do you have to get married? That's crazier than fake dating. People love to call out fake dating and how it's dumb, and fake dating is dumb. It's one of my favorite tropes because it's just so good. The automatic tension of them pretending to like, eat it up. But I understand that it is stupid, but it's also a silly little romance novel. Like, it's okay. It can be stupid. But like marrying someone is like kind of crazy. But an arranged marriage in a fantasy, eat it up. And then this person says, I hate accidental pregnancy. It's so stressful. Like, that poor baby is gonna be traumatized if y'all don't get your shit together. Black cat, ex-golden retriever. But they love when the girl is the black cat and the guy is the golden retriever. I mean, yes. What else can I say? Yes, that is one of the best. I love a grumpy sunshine, but the girl is grumpy and the guy is sunshine. I also love the reverse because that's just such a good dynamic. But when it's like the girl is grumpy, the girl's black cat, the guy is golden retriever, that's one of the best tropes, I feel like. Next we have yearning, especially from the male POV. Oh yeah, yearning is one of the best. I really want to write a book with yearning in it. I don't know how yet. I don't know where to fit it in, but I love a yearn. Oh, favorite, friends to lovers. Yes, we've been over this. It's a good one. Least favorite, step siblings to lovers. And then they said, not my fault, London, though. That was unfortunately such a good movie. I was going into it being like, step siblings, weird, but then I was like, oh, that was great. Because I didn't watch the first one because of the step siblings. But then I was like, Asha Banks. I love Asha Banks. So I was like, fine, I'll watch it. That was fine, I feel like, because they'd never met, they hadn't grown up together. They were basically strangers. And step siblings is not technically illegal, not technically immoral. It just is a little weird, you know? This is the person who brought up step siblings, and I said I was going to talk about it. I don't really have a lot to say, just that that's the only media that I've ever consumed that was step siblings, I think, unless I'm blocking it out, but I think that's it. And that felt fine to me. I mean, every time I remember that they were step siblings, I was like, oh. But then when they were just, you know, together, I was like, oh, cute. So I think it's fine as long as I don't think about it. I feel like if it's like they're strangers, they've never met, then it's fine. But like when we're tiptoeing into like they grew up together, they're basically siblings, they have a sibling dynamic, then I might be calling the police. And last but not least, we have a long one. Buckle up. Favorite trope. Jaded, scarred, older character with a fading light becomes a parental figure. I knew where this was going. Absolutely. To a younger character, maybe they are also in need of love. Maybe it's guidance. I'll take either. Maybe they both heal together. Maybe they get worse because they're together. So lovely. I cry. I just feel like it's such a good trope also in any genre. I feel like it's very common in dystopian or fantasy. Just because like stakes are higher and it's sweeter. But I feel like that could be done in contemporary as well. You know, just like a troubled child who needs, you know, a parent figure, and then that parent figure is sort of jaded and the child gives them a new outlook on life. I feel like that can be done wherever, and I just feel like it's so sweet in whatever genre that it's done. Y'all might not know this about me, and you might be shocked to hear this about me just by looking at me and like my room and like everything, but I'm a big The Last of Us fan, so yeah, I like this trope. Hello. Least favorite. Oh yeah. When the love interest is mean to the MC and they're just like that. It's so played off as an appealing trait to be sought after, an aspect that makes them worthy of love. Characters are allowed to be mean, of course. Nah, get out of my face and get off my feed. MC, get out of there. Mean is not a hot look. I loved the sass of that because exactly, tell them. Why is being mean like desirable? I feel like teasing, oh yeah, bantering, oh yeah, but like at this point some of these books are bully romances. Like, and I hate a bully romance. I think that might be my least favorite trope of all time is bully romance. It's worse than accidental pregnancy to me. It's worse than cheating. Is getting with your bully. Why would you do that? Again, I love a like disliked lovers or like when they don't like each other at first, but we have to get to a place where they like each other and they're being nice, because it's not romantic if they just continue to be mean for the rest of the book. I definitely agree with this. I think a lot of the time people are trying to write morally gray characters, specifically men, and it's just, they're just mean. They're just mean, or they're not morally gray. Morally gray does not mean they literally wear gray and have morals. That's not what that means, babe. Morally gray means that they kill people and then they go and they donate to charity. That's morally gray. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's okay if your character is actually morally gray and they're sort of mean. No, that's actually not okay. No, they should never be mean to their love interest. the moral part of their morally gray should be them being the kindest soul to the MC. They should worship the ground that she walks on. Obviously, no. I don't like that. You know, maybe it's a hot take, but I feel like two characters in a relationship should like each other. Oh my god! That's so crazy. How can I even say that? I just love a soft, gentle, calm love, because that's what love is. I think if they're always being mean and bullying and always sort of have this little dislike, I'm just like, I don't think that is love. You know? So, yeah. Anyways, that is all for today's video. There weren't very many, because again, like I said, a lot of people said the same things. Everybody loves enemies to lovers, and everybody hates accidental pregnancy. Yeah. Please comment down below if I read one of yours. Also comment any of your thoughts. You can comment your thoughts on every single one of these tropes brought up. Also comment something that I said made you think of, just anything. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and you should subscribe to be notified when I post a Google form so you can take part in these sort of like interactive videos, because I love doing them. They're my favorites. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a really great day.